Hey there, welcome. Hi, Holly. Look at all these hearts. I'm really feeling this. I'm feeling the love. Give it a few more minutes. Wait for everybody to. Welcome, Gypsy Goddess. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Family Nightly Broadcast. My name is Luke, aka Dragonwise. I'm a cast member with Family. And a little bit of background with me. I have been involved in personal training, physical training, and fitness consulting for the almost 12 years now. And I got to a certain point with my training, other clients, that I started to notice a difference with. It didn't matter how much physical changes and transformations that were made. There were these underlying belief systems, these BS about themselves, and some of my clients would see these amazing changes and transformations, and they wouldn't see a difference, or they would still see the same, the fat kid or the ugly kid or whatever it was. So I started to really delve deep into spiritual training. As far as the spirituality of, there's more to us than just our physical forms. And with any kind of belief direction, whether it's religious or it's financial or whatever, we all have these systems in place. We all have these systems based off our experience. Wherever however we've been raised. And none of those things are actually us. It's almost like we were this blank slate, and then we had all these experiences happen to us, and we created these belief systems about the world based off of those experiences. So this is about your original programming. This is about how these things have affected you, and what things have occurred in your life that have brought you to where you are now. So, like I was saying about transformations, so many people want to make these changes. Whether they're physical changes, or they want a better life in some capacity. They want a better relationship, or they want someone to love them. And they find that they get into these areas in their life where they keep repeating these patterns. They keep repeating these same kind of scenarios where they're meeting like similar people, and they're like, oh gosh, like they're just like so and so, and I can't believe I'm the person that keeps getting into these scenarios. You'll hear it all the time, like the girl that says, oh my god, I can't believe like I've been cheated on again. Like I guess I'm just the girl that gets cheated on, right? Or the guy who says, oh, I'm just the nice guy. I guess I'm just the guy who's the nice guy, so I'm always going to end up last. This is original programming. This is at some point you established, your mind established that this is the way the world works. And whatever experience you had, let's say that you had parents that were really, they had a lot of money and very extravagant. There was tons of wealth. and you have no problem accumulating wealth. Like you are around it all the time, you understand it, you understand how it works, and that's not a problem. Then you meet someone who's didn't have rich parents. They weren't around that, and there was always this scarcity type of mentality. Then you start to develop that, oh, this is the way the world works. But does it work that way? Or is that just your programming? Why is it that someone can go and accomplish these amazing things, and it's so difficult for some people? So the way to break your original programming is to take responsibility, for one, for the experience. Because if you keep blaming the experience, if you keep blaming the situation for where you're at, you're going nowhere. You're going to actually keep repeating it. So I can give you an example. Background with me, I grew up in a physically and emotionally and psychologically abusive home with my father, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. That's the thing, when we say that, like we start to label ourselves like, oh, I came from an abusive home, like we're the only ones, but a lot of us do. A lot of us come from, I mean, there's so much dysfunction out there because everyone's just working out their experiences in different ways. So in doing that, I didn't want to be like my father. So I went on through life not wanting to be like him. But when you're constantly thinking about the things you don't want, your subconscious kicks in. Bam. Kicks in and says, okay. Doesn't understand that you don't want that. All it can see is that same image that you keep presenting. So I went from this mentality of I don't want to be like my father. I'm going to push this away and push this away. And all I did was keep contact with that energy. I kept that kind of that image, that symbol of how I was treated. And all the memories and everything came flooding in when I thought about that. And so I got to a point where I said, wait a second. It's not that I don't want to be like my father. It's that I want to be more like me. Oh, well, then now that's like more like me. Who am I? I had no idea. I had no clue. I had what I knew myself to be characteristic-wise according to my experience, right? I had my name. I had my background. I had the school I went to. I had my parents, but I really didn't know who I was. And that was like that question, that deep burning question that you hear, know thyself. Well, what does that mean, right? Be true to yourself. Well, I didn't know the first thing about being true to myself because I had no clue who myself was. And that's the journey. And that's where, when we take a step back and we say, wait a second, I can blame my situation. I can blame all these things that make me me. Or I can say, I'm something much greater and so important to the whole puzzle, to the whole piece. And take that step back and say, no, I own this. I take responsibility for this. Because it may not be situations that I had control over. Like, it wasn't necessarily my fault, right? That my parents did this or someone mistreated me. But it was my responsibility to take ownership for it. Because if I could finally understand that I've been in control this whole time, I've just been allowing these things to happen, that's what breaks the system. That's what breaks your programming. When you suddenly say, no, this is it. I'm taking responsibility for this. This is important because this has made me who I am today. Then you no longer live in this shadow, your shadow self, right? You no longer have to deal with that inner turmoil oh, this is how I'm supposed to be, this is how I have to be, like I'm the victim. You're no longer playing that victim card. And when you're aware of that, when you have this awareness of, oh, this is my programming, suddenly you stop time in its tracks. You're about to do something, someone says something to you, and you have low self-esteem for whatever reason, for, oh, that sounds very similar to something my father said to me or something that someone else said to me. And you see that and you go, wait a second, that's not me. I take ownership for that. I take responsibility for that. And in doing that, you've changed the game. You no longer are acting in this autonomic type of situation where you're just moving off of these reactions that are going on based off of your experience of the past. You're suddenly present right then. You're able to assess it and say, yes, that's what the programming should do to me. But I take responsibility for that. So it doesn't hold that power anymore. That is the deepest concept that we can find of giving away your personal power. This whole time, if something has upset you, if something charges you, and that's especially important when someone says something and you find yourself charged, like you get really mad or you get really angry, really sad, or you suddenly just you feel sick. That's the charge. That is the mirror that is being seen, that is being related and being represented of you. Like that old programming. And when you feel that charge and say, oh, I'm getting charged. Oh, I'm getting charged. This means that something they're doing is something that I have a problem with myself. This affects my original programming. No, I took ownership for that. And because you took ownership for that, you're aware of it. You now have this awareness. You have this conscious awareness of what's going on. And you're able to stop it dead in its tracks and you say, no, I'm aware of what's going on, and now I can think through the situation, right? I can move through this and analyze what's going on instead of just reacting, instead of just coming right down and punching that person in the face or getting so angry or so upset you don't never talk to that person again. You suddenly realize that it's not them doing this. It's this original programming that's coming out. And that programming is there because of the experiences you had. But when you're suddenly aware of those experiences, you're suddenly aware that you're in control of those experiences, and whether you react to them, you break the system. You slow down time to a point where you're no longer living in the past. Right? You're living right now where time doesn't exist. You're right now, you're aware, you're in tune, you're turned on, and you're switched in to a point where you are completely aware of what's going on. And that is the way to break through this. Now, it's finding those charges and being aware of them. That's the deep that's the deep lesson that comes from this, where you suddenly get upset about something and you dig deep. You dig deep within yourself and you go, okay, why am I getting upset, right? I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to take ownership for it. So now I can't have a charge about it because I'm not blaming someone else for my situation. I'm not blaming someone else that oh, they said this and they should know better because I've been through all this stuff and I'm so upset at what they've said and they've affected me and in a way that they've offended me. They've offended me and I'm so offended and I'm so hurt. Just take responsibility. You take that ownership. And that's what changes that programming. It stops it dead in its tracks. Then now, original programming has been subdued and has been, you're not crushing it down and trying to bury it. It's there. It's aware. You're aware of it. You see it, and now you put that layer of your own programming on top. This is how I act. This is how I want to be. This is the person that I want to be, and this is the life I want to live. So that kind of level, once you get to it, being aware is key. Once you're aware of those things that charge you and upset you or make you sad, and you suddenly go, no, that's not me. That's just my programming. I'm going to take a deeper look at this. And it's uncomfortable. It's not fun. Because you have to look within yourself and go, oh, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if anybody's going to like that if they could see it within me. So your programming and how you want to live your life is whatever you want it to be. Is because of that original programming. And the journey is bringing up all those things that make us uncomfortable, make us uneasy, and drive us to be something more than what we are, more than what we see ourselves as. Let's see where I'm at here. Ooh, cool. I have a few minutes for any questions or comments. If anybody wants to say anything. No? Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this Family Nightly broadcast. I'll be on here pretty much every Monday at 9 p.m. And you can check us out at family.link, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Facebook. And we'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. All right. Have a great night.